Well, during the Vietnam War, the U.S. Uh, kind of waged a secret war in Laos, where because the Ho Chi Minh Trail goes through Laos, and they wanted to destroy the trail so that the Vietnamese couldn't use it, or it's just a strategic thing. So these bombs that they used, they're about like tennis ball size, and they were like brightly colored, like yellow bombs. And what happened is that when they would drop these bombs, a lot of them wouldn't detonate. And now, 40 some years later, a lot of them are actually still in the country, and they look like toys. And so that's a common thing where children have to be taught to not pick up something that looks like a little tennis ball, because it's just this little dormant bomb. And it's still just littered throughout the country, and just really has rendered so much of the land unusable. I mean, especially for a country like Laos that is like largely like a farming economy. I don't know the actual number offhand, but basically the U.S. spent hundreds of millions of dollars bombing the country of Laos, but in recent years has contributed 7 million, 13 million to the cleanup of the bombs. And I work with an organization called Legacies of War that helps to lobby Congress to make it an issue with them. But it's just been just a very, just almost like a half-hearted attempt to help the country of Laos. But it's like, the country just has remained stagnant for so long. I definitely feel like Laos gets forgotten in the discussion about the war, just by the type of people that we are. I mean, Lao people are very passive and very pacifist, and just too laid back in a sense. I mean, especially compared to like Western standards. We're not out, shouting to people how we have Lao pride. I mean, we're trying now these days, but it's definitely because of a Western influence.
Yeah, we're just so laid back, and I think part of our culture is to be humble and not be so showy. It is difficult to express ourselves in that way, and so because when the discussion of the Vietnam War or any discussion about Southeast Asia, Laos is typically forgotten about because it's sort of a country that's in the middle of everything, but yet it doesn't have kind of a strong presence because maybe the people are so passive. I mean, I feel like we're generally a happy, warm kind of people. So any Lao person you meet, you end up getting invited to their house, you maybe eat some of their food, and like it's usually like a nice experience.
I think it's important for people to know that Laos was involved in the war, but not because the Lao people had anything to do with it. It was just the proximity to Vietnam, and just a convenience for the U.S. to use Laos as like a piece in the war. But we weren't involved. We never asked for it, and in a sense, we were used and forgotten. I feel like I've learned a lot about the war just from different peers I have, particularly like people involved with Legacies of War. And I mean, our parents and their peers are starting to talk more about that time. But some of the stories I know are from just either people who are actually in like soldiers during the war, like American soldiers. Like there's this one story I heard from a soldier at that time where he was one of the guys in charge with loading the planes full of bombs. And so what happens sometimes is that these bombs were destined to be dropped on Vietnam, but if for whatever reason they couldn't drop it on their target, and they couldn't land the plane with the bombs, they would just drop it in Laos. They would look down from their plane and just see fields and not see that people lived there. It's almost a bigger insult to bomb someone that you have nothing against.